Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast, and today we are going to be reviewing a One Piece theory video. So please catch up on the most recent. We're going to be talking up until the most recent One Piece chapter, where a lot of these bombshells got dropped and everything like that. So the most recent chapter would be One Piece 1115. So please like and subscribe if you have not. Leave a comment on your thoughts regarding this theory video or your own theories. And we love hearing from you guys, so please do that. So the theory topic today is going to be the theory on what caused the Great War in the Void Century that Vegapunk talked about in chapter 1115. So I think there's like a lot of, I did find it was interesting because Vegapunk said he couldn't really give a moral judgment because he didn't know what the cause of this war. So when we get into the potential causes here, so it is interesting that Ohara and Vegapunk didn't even know what caused this war, which means like this is probably like up till like the 5 Elder Stars and Emu are probably like the only ones that know at this point in time.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe Shanks or some giants, perhaps, or some it's kind of hard to say.
Well, probably the Rogers crew knows from Laugh Tale.
Oh yes, yeah, true. Yeah, that's a possibility for sure. I guess my first thoughts. I guess like the first scenario is, I think there's kind of been that theory going around for a bit that Emu and the 5 Elders are type of creatures or species, type of aliens from the other moons, basically, and they came to take over the world from the D clan and things like that too. I think that's kind of like the first possibility that's been floating around. I'm becoming less inclined now because one thing I thought was interesting is when Saturn talks about this is the first time I've come to the surface in a long time. It makes me think less that they're from another planet, but they kind of look like demons that are coming from a hellish place. And I'm wondering if there's like a possibility that they're coming from below the earth in a way too. I don't know. That's just kind of one weird thought that I've been chewing over a little bit there. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Whether from outer space or from below, or like where do you think Emu's from? Maybe that's a good place to start.
Well, I think that Emu is some sort of like sea creature. I think that they're like an umibozu, which is I think I've said this before, but it's like this mythical Japanese creature that that's all. It's usually depicted as a solid black creature with big eyes, and it goes around and destroys ships.
Okay,
that's what I think. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, especially since you said under the earth, I hadn't thought about that because potentially, with the mother flame, they could bore down far enough, because we've seen like the endless chasms with under Ennie's lobby and with Lulucia too. But with the space thing, I don't know. I've always been kind of had a negative reaction toward the whole space thing with Enel and everything. It just seems a little too out there, but I mean, Oda can go wherever he wants with the series, but it's I think that's a little too far-fetched, even though it is canon about Enel being on the moon. But for me, I think my main thought is that that Joy Boy. So I was rereading again, and they specifically called out that there was a great kingdom, and Joy Boy was part of it, and that's separate from the 20 families that make up the celestial dragons. Because they said they were opposed to each other. So if that's the case, maybe the celestial dragons were just wanted power for themselves, like they were the lesser nations around the world, and Joy Boy and whatever kingdom he was a part of was like the dominant kingdom in the Void Century. And it is interesting that, like you said earlier, that Vegapunk said specifically that they're not that he won't cast judgments on who's right or wrong. So potentially Joy Boy and the kingdom could have been tyrants, but the more that I say that, the more I don't think so, because Joy Boy evokes joy. And he's been like a good guy. He's freed slaves and everything. But maybe the 20 families rose up against the Great Kingdom and created the ancient weapons to take over.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we know not all of the ancient family. The 20 families were bad though. It was like only the Nefertaris, right? They weren't bad. So
yeah, the Nefertaris went to the surface, so maybe they felt some sort of remorse for betraying. But it's interesting because specifically, like, Lily was a D. So maybe she had secretly like joined up with Joy Boy or was feeding him information. I don't know.
Or maybe the cause was good, because like you could say he's a part of. Okay, so like he could say Joy Boy is a part of the D clan and this nation, but he's not in charge of it too, right? So maybe the 20 nations had a good cause or reason to rebel, right? And then Joy Boy was trying to mediate the situation,
Maybe.
But then that good cause got corrupted. Because so this is kind of where I want to bring in Blackbeard, where he's a bad D, right? Which means if there's one bad D who's a prominence and huge to the story, there could have been more bad Ds.
Like Zebek too.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And so we haven't seen an ancient mythological D figure yet.
Yeah.
So it could have been this great amazing kingdom, right? And as like the Pirate King, let's just use this analogy, right? The Pirate King could be a great amazing person like Roger or Luffy, or it could be someone like Blackbeard or Zebek, and the question is like, if Blackbeard really, let's just say the proto Blackbeard got control of this kingdom, and then the nations rise up, and then Imu takes advantage of these nations, in some way, shape, or form, takes advantage of the situation, because we see multiple antagonists in the story of One Piece. There's like Blackbeard, and there's Akainu, and now there's Imu, right? So why couldn't there be multiple antagonists back in the ancient time period too?
Yeah, and the more you say that, it made me think about how Joy Boy was labeled a pirate, and it seems like pirates were kind of labeled that way to like they're going against the government, because you look at Luffy and he's not really doing typical pirate stuff like raiding villages or whatever. He just gets blamed for it. So if Joy Boy is that level, because like Luffy or like Joy Boy, Luffy goes and frees people. Maybe he was, like you said, he was trying to work both sides, like mediate. But yeah.
Yeah, because we see the 20 nations are not all. I mean, even so, I think like that's just kind of interesting there, and you could say like even the people that were in charge of the kingdom, they weren't bad all that. I assume they weren't even that bad altogether. The 20 nations, I think that their descendants became lazy, fat, and stupid. Because even when you get to the Don Quixotes, they have a checker past too. With Doflamingo's father, and then you have Nosferatu. Sorry, the one that the one that hit Charlos in the Reverie. I'm blanking on him. Don Quixote.
Miosgard.
Miosgard. Okay. Yeah. So he was the other one too. Then you have Rocinante. Obviously, was another good one too. And I think we can assume Doflamingo's mother was a good one as well too. So that's like an example of two kingdoms right there. Then two celestial dragon kingdoms that were good people as well. So I'm trying to think. There may have been another celestial dragon that was a good guy too. Blanking on his name.
It's definitely
I
not
feel like
Garling.
oh, I felt like he was another Don Quixote, but I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, well, and then also if Shanks is in fact a celestial dragon too, that's another example. You know, that
Yeah.
they're not just all evil to their core. You know, there's a potential to like change. You know, so yeah, I just like what I find interesting is with Blackbeard too, because Blackbeard desires to have control of the throne, which makes me think at one time in the past there was an ancestor like Blackbeard who had control of the throne too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about destiny and the will of D's, and Doflamingo talks about the war between the D clan and the Celestial Dragons too. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even necessarily sure D's are good or bad people necessarily. You know, or the Celestial Dragons are good or bad people. It's just what faction did you happen to hold with, you know? And they
Mm-hmm.
both have benefits and negatives at the end of the day too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, I mean, besides that, can you think of another reason why? Because I don't know. It's hard to think of why. We can point to like specific, like, okay, this could be a factor, but not really why exactly.
Yeah, just a war for power, I think is kind of like the main thing, you know, and I think the whole tyrannical, so there's like the tyrannical D clan and then the 20 nations rising up, you know, because it is kind of interesting because like the 20 nations would have to be separate for them to unite to begin with, and if they were separated before they united,
Mm-hmm.
that means that the D clan was in control of the world. And then the question is, why did they rebel? I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So one, they're tyrants, or two, they were the good guys. But
Yeah.
why would they rebel against good rulers?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless Emu, I don't know, it's like a type of Chancellor Palpatine type of thing from Star Wars, where it's just like makes things worse than they actually are, kind of thing. It gives them a legitimate reason to rebel, when in reality they were actually good rulers. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's an option there too.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the ancient weapons play into this at all?
How so? What would you think? In what capacity?
Like, do you think that the ancient weapons themselves were the reason why that they started fighting? Like, from what we know about the three of them, it seems like one came in to the world naturally, and that's Poseidon, which is a fishman or a mermaid princess. So, if that's the case, it could have been a kind of a war over her, because they saw her power to control the Sea Kings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so you could say like they're just kind of both squabbly nations just fighting for the power at the end of the day. I think that's a possibility for sure.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
But if that's the case, then the other, because it seems to me the other weapons are man-made, because you have like a whole blueprint for Pluton.
Yeah. Right.
So they could have been made in response to that. Because at the end of 1115, Vegapunk specifically says that the ancient weapons sank the world into the sea 800 years ago. So, yeah, that could be the reason for the war. And who knows, even maybe Emu himself is like immortal and is from back then, and they were the one that kind of instigated everything.
Yeah, right.
That's always a possibility.
Yeah, because maybe like in a way, like they could be tricked in that sense where it's like you have the five elders as the face of the government, you know, but they don't know who's pulling the strings, which is Emu, you know. So that's a possibility too, and which is why they put such a huge emphasis on making sure Emu is not seen or known by anyone in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think like those are my thoughts there. for the most part. I can't really like rack my brain around like any other too many possibilities that we can infer at this point in time. I just think I think I'm gonna put my eggs in my basket that the D clan was actually more tyrannical. Because I just think that's an interesting twist on Vegapunk's words in a way. Because I kind of feel like if it was just like whatever the world government was just all bad and that the D clan was all good, they just would have told us this already. But the fact that they're kind of putting this nuance here, this moral ambiguity, I find interesting. So
yeah,
I think it's kind of an interesting thought there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's hard to, like I said, to pinpoint exactly why. But yeah, those are my thoughts too about it.
Yeah. So do you think Toki could have given, so one last point, but do you think Toki could have given any more information to anyone too? Because we kind of assume she's from the Void Century.
I mean, I think she said that she was from like 800 years ago.
Okay.
So
yeah,
if it would be hard to say, because who knows how much she would know, because it seems like she just kept on popping in, but she seemed to know about Joy Boy. Like she was looking for around his time, wasn't she?
Yeah, I believe so. I tried to put Wano outside of my consciousness, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Top of my...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was looking for Joy Boy in the future, so she probably knew about it. But like Gold Roger, it wasn't the appropriate time. And
yeah.
I guess she saw it more fit to not jump into the future herself, but save her son and send him into the future. But yeah.
No, those are good points. Yeah. So I think just from the information we have, I think that's the most we can gather here. At this point in time, and we'll see. We probably won't get any more light shed on it, or because I feel like Vegapunk would have already said it already. But we might get more light shed on it at Elbaf if we go there next.
I mean, I think we might. I don't know. We might get some more before it inevitably gets cut off.
Well, topic on the cause of the war, because he said he doesn't know.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, that's specifically. Yeah. So we'll see as time goes on. Yeah, like I said, it's hard because so very few people actually know the cause.
Yeah.
Of this war too.
But yeah, I mean, he says that the war is still ongoing. So whatever the conflict was back then is still pertinent to today. So. And
that kind of goes off Doflamingo's words with Law and the D clan, the enemies of God, and things like that too. So I think that fits in well on a thematic level with that and everything. So anyways, so yeah, please give us your thoughts below. What do you think was the cause of the war? What do you think of our theories? So yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. We'll have a One Piece chapter review later on this week, and then Jujutsu Kaisen review later on this week too. And just please like and subscribe. We appreciate hearing from you, and we will see you guys all soon. Peace.
See ya.